Hi everybody, it's Deborah from PeopleLovingAnimals.com. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching my video today. Today's video, we're going to be talking about cat boarding and how to take the stress out of boarding your cat. If you are like me, you really hate it when you have to board an animal, whether it's a dog or a cat. And for me, the biggest reason why I hate it is because I can't explain it to them. You know, I can't say, Mommy will be back in 3 days or 2 weeks. You can't explain to them that you're not abandoning them. And I always just kind of torture myself when I'm away with what must they be thinking. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to talk about this in today's video, and we're going to be talking about how to find a cat boarding facility near you. We're going to talk about the cost of cat boarding, and we're going to be going over a step-by-step guide to successfully boarding your cat, and we're also going to be talking about alternatives to cat boarding. So I hope that you'll find today's video to be helpful. If you do, please go ahead and give it a like. That really does help YouTubers when you do that. Now, if you have not been here before, my name is Deborah. I own this website called PeopleLovingAnimals.com, and I do videos all about the care and health and training of dogs and cats. So if you would like to see more of my content, please go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, and please go ahead and share my channel with your friends and family who have a dog or a cat, especially if they may be having a problem with their dog or cat. I might have a video that can help them. So we are going to use this post on my website called Cat Boarding. I'm going to give you a link to this post in the description box, and I'm also going to give you a link to anything that we talk about in the video. Everything will be in the description box. So I'm not going to read this post. I'm just going to use it to guide us through today's video. But you can certainly click into it with the link and read it if you would like to. So, like I said, I get very upset when I have to board my animals because you can't say, Mommy, we'll be right back. You know, you can't explain to them. And, you know, it can be very, very stressful for your dog or your cat to be boarded. You know, it can be a stressful experience, but there are things that you can do to make it as comfortable for your cat as possible and as comfortable for you as possible. So in today's post, or in today's video, we're going to talk about finding a boarding facility, the cost of it, how to successfully board your cat, and alternatives. Now, finding a cat boarding near you. Step one is obviously to find someplace that's near you. One of the best ideas is to ask your veterinarian for a recommendation, because they might have somebody that they know is safe and appropriate and, you know, skilled and, you know, comfortable. Ask your vet first if you don't know anywhere to board your cat, and also check with other cat or dog owners that you know and ask where they board their pets. So try to get a recommendation if you can. Also, you can search online for cat boarding near me at housecares.com, rover.com, and care.com. I'll give you the links to those 3 places, and they can find you. Also Meowtel.com. I'm going to give you a referral code if you go there. Please use my referral code. I would appreciate that. But if you go into those places, usually you type in your zip code, and they like give you a list of places or people near you that can board your cat. The cost of cat boarding, by the way, this is my boy Whiskers. If you've been here before for my cat videos, you have seen pictures of him, and you might have even seen him live because he does jump into videos sometimes. Maybe we'll get to see him today. I don't know. Anyway, the cost of cat boarding for your cat can vary based on where you live, what facility you use, and also what extra services your cat might need during their stay. But as a general rule, most places charge around $25 a night. If you have more than one cat or another pet that you're boarding at the same time, they'll likely give you a discount for additional animals. And you may or may not be charged for extra additional services like grooming or administering medication. I am going to give you a link to an article from pethelper.com about cat boarding prices, and that goes into more detail about the actual prices. You may or may not have to pay extra if your cat needs medicine, but if your cat takes medicine daily, definitely you want to ask about that and see if they'll do it, and see if they will if they'll be charging you extra for that. I had a miniature dachshund. If you've been here before, you've heard me talk about a dachshund named Taz. That's not the dachshund I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one before her, which was a miniature dachshund named Maggie. And toward the end of her life, she had such terrible health issues. She was very elderly. She took medications. She actually had to be diapered. She had become incontinent. And I called a friend, someone I know locally, who had a pet supply store and also has a beautiful pet boarding facility where he lives. And I had a conversation with him, and I said, I'm going to Florida. I need somebody I can trust, to board this dog because she needs to be diapered. She needs medication. And my point is, he said yes. He said, yes, I will do it for you. So you do need to ask. You do need to make sure the place is going to be willing and that they're going to do it, and if they're going to charge extra. But sadly, during that conversation, he said, I've got to be honest with you. He said, with the dog's condition sounds not so great, and I don't know if boarding is going to be something your dog will even survive. And sadly, I took the dog to the vet, and I had a conversation with the dog, and the vet convinced me that it was time to put the dog down. This has nothing to do with cat boarding. I'm sorry to get off on this story, but I was so grateful because the dog had serious issues, and I was looking to board her, and I'm like, what do you do? And, and I was just very grateful to the vet at that particular time for being honest with me and saying, your dog may not die peacefully in her bed. She may die while you're at work. She could have kidney failure, like all these things. But it was just very sad. But anyway, my whole point with telling you that terribly sad story is that if you have an elderly cat, or if you have a cat who has like significant health issues, definitely talk to your vet and just say, is this going to be okay? Is this going to be okay for the cat to be boarded to begin with? And then obviously make sure that wherever you board the cat, they're going to take care of the cat's needs and give them medication if they need it. I'm sorry to get off on that side story. I just can't help but think about it when I think about this issue. Now, how to successfully board your cat. Let's talk about a step-by-step guide for boarding cats that will result in your cat being safe and comfortable while you're away and give you peace of mind at the same time. First of all, choose the right cat boarding facility. Make sure they're using a qualified, clean, and loving facility. Look for places that have great reviews and that are run by people who are true animal lovers. And again, one of the best things to do is ask your vet or to ask other pet owners for a recommendation on who they use. Check it out first. Always tour the facility before you commit to boarding your cat there. And if they don't allow that, they're not the place to board your cat. If they don't want you to come and look around before you drop your cat off, it's not okay. Go someplace else. Check to make sure the facility is clean and that the boarding areas look comfortable for your cat. The boarding areas should have things for cats to climb on, and they should have things for cats to hide in or behind. Book in advance. The good cat boarding facilities are going to fill up fast, especially for busy travel times like holidays. So make sure that you get your spot reserved as far in advance as possible so that you aren't stuck where you got to kind of have to settle for any boarding facility because you didn't get into a good one fast enough, okay? So always plan way ahead if you can. Get your cat comfortable with the carrier a week or two ahead of time. By the way, this is a picture here that you can see my boy Whiskers, and he's in a teepee. I don't know if you can make it out in this picture, but it's one of those triangular softy teepees. And it was just a fantastic thing when I adopted him as a kitten. The person that I got him from gave him that little teepee, and it was a lifesaver for him because he hid in that thing, when he was new in my house. It was just a great place for the cat to hide. He could fall asleep in there. It was comfortable for him. So I don't know if I give you a link for one of these teepees in this post. I'll try to remember to give you a link for that, but it's a teepee. Get your cat comfortable with their carrier a week or two ahead of time. I do have a post called Tips for Traveling with Cats, and that has like step-by-step instructions on how to get your cat comfortable with their carrier, either before you're going away or before they need to go to the vet, for example. Also, whenever you take your cat anywhere in their carrier, make sure the carrier is closed properly. Now, I feel like I'm just full of sad stories today, but I feel like I need to tell you about this. I had a friend who took her cat to the vet. I was there. I saw this. I happened to pull up at the vet's office with my pet the same time she was pulling up with her. She had two cats. And we pull up, and she was getting her cats out of the car. She had two cats. They were each in their own carrier. And I was standing there by her car talking with her as she was getting the carriers out. Well, she pulled out the first carrier, and doesn't the bottom drop out of it? The cat, who was an orange tabby, beautiful boy named Elfie, hits the sidewalk and takes off. We never saw him again. And I don't mean to scare you, but I just always try to mention in videos about traveling with cats, check all the way around that carrier and make sure that that carrier is latched all the way around, okay? The cat took off. I helped her search for weeks. We searched the neighborhood. We questioned everybody, and unfortunately, she never saw the cat again. So you have to really be careful when you've got your cat in a carrier to make sure that it's really secured before you pick it up and put it anywhere. Her other cat, by the way, was still in the car, and that cat was fine in their carrier. But it was just, I still think about it to this day. I was so upset. I was so upset for her. I just can't imagine. Like, I can't imagine taking my cat to the vet and coming home with it. Do you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't even imagine it. Anyway, be careful with the carrier. Another tip is to clip your cat's nails. If you normally clip your cat's nails yourself, do it a few days before you're leaving. Not the morning of, because you don't want the cat in an uproar before you even go, but a few days before. It'll reduce the chance of you or any of the boarding facility staff being scratched. If you do need help clipping your cat's nails, I have a post with a video called How to Cut Cat's Nails at Home, and that'll give you some help on that. If not, you might also, most vets offices will let you show up with your cat, and either for free or for a small fee of like $10 or $15, they'll clip the cat's nails. So again, not the day of, but maybe a week before you go, you might want to have the cat's nails trimmed. It's not imperative. It's just, if it's convenient, if you can do it, it just kind of eliminates more chances for people to get scratched. Also, you want to have your paperwork in order. Most facilities require that your cat's vaccinations are up to date. You'll need to bring documentation of this, and your vet's office can print that out for you. Now, if it's a boarding facility that they're either associated with or that they're familiar with, they might even fax that over to the boarding facility for you. You could ask. When it comes to packing your cat's stuff, put your name and your cat's name on all their stuff. For example, you could use masking tape or a label maker to put your cat's name and your name on their carrier, for example. You can't put it on everything, but things can get mixed up at facilities and so forth, so you might want to just put their names on things, especially if you provide a bag of cat food, or if they have medications, make sure that they have the cat's name and your name on them. Stuff you should pack: food. Bring your cat's usual food so they don't experience any stomach upset while they're away. Many pets have difficulty eating at all when they're away from home, so keeping the food that they're used to will help. And make sure that you pack enough, like more than your cat will need while you're away. And this is kind of a serious issue, because there are cats that will not eat. They will not eat if it's a different food in the boarding facility, so it's kind of a big deal. So just bring it, give instructions, this is their food, and have the cat at least be presented with their own food to give them a much better chance of being able to just comfortably eat while you're away. Medications, I keep talking about this. If your cat takes medications, make sure you bring a sufficient supply and provide clear instructions for dosing. Make sure that you get your prescriptions filled ahead of time, to make sure that you have enough on the day that you're dropping your cat off. Old people have to do that all the time when they travel. They have to get with the pharmacist ahead of time and say, okay, I'm going away this week day. I'm going to be gone for 10 days. And usually they'll work with you, and wherever you're getting your pet's medication will work with you, usually if you're going on vacation, and you might need to get a few more pills ahead of time before you go. Some of their favorite things you should pack: bring things like your cat's favorite toy or their blanket. If they have a cat bed and the facility will let you bring it, go ahead and bring it. You could also bring a piece of your clothing that has your scent on it. These things will provide comfort and familiarity for your cat. Now, whenever I go away, I always sleep the night before in like an old white men's t-shirt. Doesn't matter what kind of t-shirt it is. It has to happen to be what I use. And I sleep in it the night before, and then I put that in the carrier, and it goes with the cat or the dog when they're boarded because it smells like mommy. And apparently it's quite effective in providing them some comfort, okay? So you might want to just try that. On the drop-off day, try to stay calm and positive. Sobbing when you drop your cat off and doing a big dramatic farewell, it just isn't good. I know where you're coming from. It's terrible. But you know what? I always think about animals, and I think from a woman's point of view, that they're going to think, if mommy thinks this is okay, this is okay. If mommy doesn't think this is okay, this must not be okay. Do you know what I mean? So if you're calm and, give your cat, the impression that this is okay. If you're sobbing and you're upset and you're like, goodbye, it's not going to do your cat any favors, right? Your cat is likely going to be nervous and scared, so try not to let this upset you more than it should. Chances are, if you visited your cat the next day, they'd be sleeping and bored. Sometimes I think as pet owners, we torture ourselves. Like, we're suffering more than our pets are. Like, if you board your cat and you came back 2 days later and you just looked in on the cat, chances are they're going to be there in their carrier. They're going to be sleeping. Like, they're not going to be wailing. They're not going to be desperate. They're not going to be deer in the headlights. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand it is upsetting for animals. It can be uncomfortable for animals, but I really do think, don't let it upset you more than it should. Don't be more upset than is warranted, because chances are your pet is okay, at the boarding facility. Now, you do have the right to check on your cat periodically. Most facilities will not object to your calling to check on your cat. If they do object, then again, they aren't the right place to board your cat. Don't be ridiculous about it, but it is okay to call for updates to ease your mind. I wouldn't necessarily call every day, but every couple of days, every 3 days, depending on how long you're gone. If you wanted to call and say, hey, I'm just calling to check, most places are not going to have a problem with that. And again, if they do, in my opinion, they're not the right place to board your cat. They shouldn't be boarding animals if they have a problem with the parents calling to check on them, Now, some alternatives to boarding your cat. Maybe you can't afford to board your cat, or maybe you don't think your cat would tolerate it. Maybe you have an elderly cat or a sick cat, and you're like, okay, this is just not a good idea. A few alternatives would be check with local pet daycare facilities. If you're only going away overnight or for a couple of days, a cat daycare facility might offer a short-term stay for your cat. I did do a post with a video called Pet Daycare, and there's a lot of information in that about how to choose the right cat daycare, what to look for, and so forth. So again, they might not be like you can go for a week or 10 days, but they might be, if it's a day or two, they might be willing to have your cat there, and it might be a little bit better situation for your cat. It's just something to check into. You can also use a cat sitter. You might consider finding a cat sitter instead. You can find a good cat sitter who will come to your home or may allow your cat to stay in their home. Finding a cat sitter to come to your home is ideal, especially if you have an elderly cat or a cat with medical issues. Again, I did do a post in a video called How to Find a Good Cat Sitter, and that has a lot of tips on how to find a cat sitter. Now, some of these, cat sitting place like Care.com, for example, if you go to that post about finding a good cat sitter, you'll find those. Well, they do cost money. And if you just can't afford it, ask around for neighbors. More than one time in my life, I've had a mutual agreement with a neighbor or a friend or a coworker. If I go away, will you watch my cat? And I go, you go away, I'll watch your cat or dog. A lot of times it's like the best thing, because you know the person, and also you're, repaying them the favor by when they go away, you're going to check in on their cat. Now, the thing about that is, I'm not going to get into it here because I have a video about it, how to find a good cat sitter, how they don't need to come and, pack a suitcase and stay at your house for a month. They need to come in every day, check on your cat and so forth. But I give detailed instructions in that. And like I say, if you can't afford to pay a cat sitter, you might be able to find a mutual friend who would be willing to babysit your cat. And you know what? One of the ideas I gave in that post, I said I wasn't going to go on about that post, but if you have like an elderly person next door, they might be really happy to come and sit with your cat. Do you know what I mean? If they're retired, they don't have anything to do. One place where I lived, it was that same miniature dachshund that I was talking about earlier. One place that we lived, there was a guy next door named Phil who absolutely adored our dachshund named Maggie. And he asked permission. When you guys are at work, is it okay if I come over and sit with Maggie? And he would. He would come over, he would sit with her, he would play with her, he would take her over to his house. He was thrilled. He was thrilled to have the company of the dog. So you know what? Ask around. You never know who might be more than happy to come over and not only check on your cat, feed them, give them medicine, clean the litter box, but they might just be happy camper to just go sit with your cat for, for a few hours every day. You never know. Also, I'm going to give you a couple more links for my posts and videos. One is leaving your cat home alone. That's tips on making sure that your cat is safe and comfortable if you're leaving the cat home alone. By the way, never leave a cat alone, home alone for more than a couple of days. And even a couple of days, you do need to have somebody check on them. And if you listen to that video, you'll find out reasons why, and you might be kind of surprised by some of those reasons. Also, check out my post, how to keep indoor cats happy. Those are things you can do to keep the cat entertained while you're away. The other alternative to cat boarding is to take your cat with you. Now, I think you would agree, most cats don't travel well. Most cats don't travel well as a general rule. But if you think your cat would tolerate traveling, or if you have to go away for too long, longer than you should board your cat, longer than you should have a cat sitter, then you can consider taking your cat with you. I do have a post and video called Tips for Traveling with a Cat that will help you. It goes over step-by-step tips for the comfort and safety of your cat if you're traveling. Also, regarding boarding your cat, ask your veterinarian. One of the best things you can do if you're unsure about what you should do with your cat when you're going away is to talk to your vet. They'll be able to give you good advice based on the cat's age, their temperament. If they have any medical issues, they might be able to give you advice. Should you board your cat? Should you bring the cat with you? Should you have somebody come in? They can give you some pretty good advice based on your particular cat of what's the best thing to do with your cat if you have to be away. My vet actually once suggested that leaving your cat at home and having someone to come in and check on them, feed them, give them medicine and clean the litter box is the best decision if it's possible. She said that cats really don't like change and they will feel most comfortable at home. They're going to be sad missing you, whether they're at home or whether they're at the boarding facility. Now, as long as you have ample coverage for them to be checked on every day at home, they might as well be at home. So again, talk with your vet about your particular cat and their needs and their situation. A couple of things before we go. First of all, if you have not been here before, you don't know, I donate to animal charities. I receive a small commission for some, not all, of the products and services that I recommend across my website and across my YouTube channel. And then I donate 10% of all of my earnings to animal charities. And if you go to the homepage of my website, peoplelovinganimals.com, you will see a list of the animal charities that I donate to. So again, thank you so much for watching. I'm really sorry that, you have to board your cat. I know that it can be really upsetting. It's always upsetting for me, but the best advice I can give you is get a hold of yourself. It's the same advice I would give myself. Get a hold of yourself. It's like, the cat's at the babysitter. When you were a kid, how many times were you left with a babysitter? I remember one very long weekend. My parents went away for, it was some kind of conference or something. They were away for 3 or 4 days. And they left me and my brother and sister with friends of theirs. And we were terrified. We're like, no, guess what? We were fine. We were fine. They were very kind to us. Yes, it was weird to be away. Yeah, it was a little scary for us. We were pretty young, but we were okay. So my best advice is try to get a hold of yourself. you know, watch the videos that I'm giving you. Make sure that you're educated. Make sure you're making the right decisions for the safety and comfort of your cat. And then try to be brave. Like I said, I think sometimes we have to be more brave than our cats, and I don't want to make light of it because it is a serious issue. Cats really do get upset, you know, usually when they're boarded and so forth. But you know what? It's a fact of life, and it's a fact of life for animals, just like it's a fact of life for kids. Mommy and Daddy aren't home all the time, you know, and sometimes somebody else has to take care of you, right? So just try to be strong, okay? If you have any other tips for people about boarding your cat and some things that maybe made it easier for you or for your cat, I would love it if you would please leave those in the comment section. You never know who you might be helping, other people watching this video. So again, thanks so much for watching. I hope that I have helped. My name is Deborah, and my website is peoplelovinganimals.com. Thanks again so much. I hope I helped you guys. Bye-bye.